In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on December 23rd, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets. As we provide these videos on a daily basis, I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Toledo versus Louisville. Tuesday's bowl slate lands in Boca Raton, Florida for the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl, with Toledo facing Louisville. Toledo ended up 4th in the Mid-American Conference, but that finish doesn't tell the whole story. They finished the regular season with 4 straight wins and punched their ticket to a Florida Bowl. Louisville, meanwhile, teased the top of the Atlantic Coast Conference race for a stretch, then dropped its last 3 conference games. They still walked into the finale, shut out Kentucky 41-0, and left everyone with the reminder that this roster has real Atlantic Coast Conference level talent. And yeah, talent matters in bowls, especially when one side shows up mostly intact and the other shows up mid-transition. Here's the thing, Toledo's defense has been gritty and they've looked like a typical well-run mid-major when everything's stable. But then the carousel hits. They're dealing with a head coaching exit, plus both co-defensive coordinators, plus the special teams coordinator. That's not a small wrinkle. That's your whole weekly operating system getting patched the week before a bowl. On top of that, their starting quarterback is doubtful, which is the kind of uh-oh news that turns a game plan into a long meeting and a short playbook. Louisville has its own dents. 2 starting defensive linemen are expected to be out, but the offense is still set up to run through Miller Moss. On the roster movement front, Louisville looks relatively steady. They might be down a couple defenders, and the running back situation sounds cloudy because of injuries, plus the usual bowl week uncertainty about who dresses. Still, Moss flirted with opting out and now appears ready to play, which is about as good as you can ask for in modern bowl season, honestly. Toledo's coaching change, the new UConn job, hasn't triggered the flood of transfers or opt-outs you might expect, but the staff loss itself is the headline. It's hard to quantify, but you feel it. Practice tempo changes, communications get clunky, and little errors multiply. And when you zoom out to the step-up in weight class angle, Toledo's track record this season matters. In the games where they left the Mid-American Conference and saw bigger bodies, Washington State and Kentucky, the offense sputtered. More specifically, they couldn't get the run game going against larger defenders. That's a recurring bowl problem for mid-majors, and it shows up fast when your quarterback situation is shaky. This matchup asks Toledo to win in the trenches while missing key structure behind the scenes, and that's a rough ask. Louisville is framed here as better and stronger than those prior power conference opponents, so the expectation is more stalled drives and fewer clean rushing lanes for Toledo. Jeff Brom being hopeful that at least one running back can go is nice, but hopeful in coach speak is not the same thing as good to go. As our first pick for this matchup, that's to win and cover the spread as favorites, is our full game side pick. Toledo has been basically even versus the number across 12 games, and they've leaned under away from home, under in 5 of 6 road games. Louisville has leaned under 2, under in 7 of 12 on the season. At the same time, Louisville's offense has cleared 24 points in 10 games and hit at least 26 in 9 of 12, so the ceiling exists. Still, the defensive profile on both sides pushes back. Toledo is described as a top 5 scoring defense, and Louisville is framed as solid defensively as well. Layer in bowl week disruption for Toledo, missing pieces, quarterback uncertainty, and it's easy to see why points could feel scarce, even if a few big plays are floating around. If Toledo can't run, can't sustain drives, and is stuck in longer down and distance spots, the clock keeps moving in unglamorous ways. Punts pile up, and the total takes the hit. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Western Kentucky versus Southern Miss. Both teams limp into this one a bit, honestly. Southern Miss is riding a 3-game skid, and Western Kentucky has dropped 2 straight. Even so, Western Kentucky's offense hasn't exactly gone quiet. They've put up at least 34 points in 3 of their last 4. The catch is the defense has been leaky, allowing 26 or more in 3 of the last 5. Southern Miss looks worse on that side lately, giving up 28, 42, and 41 in its last 3, and the offense has also cooled off at the same time. That combo usually signals one thing: you're not just losing, you're getting dragged into games where you can't control the script. The big personnel headline for Western Kentucky is the absence of Lavelle Wright. He was second on the team in rushing yards and led the group with 10 touchdowns, so yeah, it's a real loss. But this is also an offense that throws at the 17th highest rate in college football, so it's not like they're built around handing it off 30 times and praying. The rest of the offensive core is expected to play in the bowl, and Western Kentucky has a nice problem at quarterback. They can roll with Maverick McIver or Rodney Tisdale, with Tisdale taking over the final 5 games after McIver's shoulder injury back in October. That kind of flexibility matters, not just for talent, but for play-calling comfort if something feels off early. And when you look at the efficiency stuff, it gets pretty lopsided in the areas that swing spreads. Western Kentucky's offense is described as strong on money downs, 23rd in third down conversion rate. They're also 32nd in points per quality drive and 29th in completion rate, which is a fancy way of saying they don't waste many of the drives that actually matter. Southern Miss on defense is way down the list at 115th in third down stops, 111th in points per quality drive allowed, and 85th in expected points added per dropback. So if Western Kentucky stays on schedule, the matchup almost nudges them forward, like a shopping cart rolling downhill. Southern Miss kept most of its roster intact too, but the offensive profile is less comforting. They sit 110th in dropback success rate, and while they're 59th in points per quality drive, the note here is that Western Kentucky's defense excels at that exact bend but don't cash area. The Hilltoppers have allowed the 4th fewest points per quality drive at 2.2. That's the sort of stat that shows up when one team gets to the red zone and the other team politely slams the door. Western Kentucky also gets credit for sustaining drives on third down and generating third down stops, and Southern Miss has had penalty issues all season, which is basically self-sabotage in slow motion. Put it together, plus the quality drives into points gap, and laying less than a field goal with the cleaner team makes sense, especially with that 9-3 against the spread run in the last 12 games. As our first pick for this matchup, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The raw production numbers say both offenses can fill it up. Western Kentucky is at 29.9 points per game, with 272.6 passing yards and 132.8 rushing yards per game, and they've allowed 23.4 points per game. Southern Miss is right there in scoring at 29.8 points per game, with 266.8 passing yards and 137 rushing yards per game. But they've allowed 27.4 points per game. So you've got two teams with near identical scoring averages, one defense that's been softer overall, and recent defensive results for Southern Miss that scream track meet potential. If Western Kentucky's pass-heavy approach keeps the tempo brisk and Southern Miss can contribute even moderately, the math starts leaning toward points stacking up in a hurry. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. UNLV versus Ohio. Both teams had respectable regular seasons, and they lived near the top of their conference standings. The key difference is UNLV also went through the Mountain West title game gauntlet, and that usually sharpens a team, or at least exposes what's real. Lately, the Rebels have looked comfortable putting points on the board, 29 or more in 4 of the last 5, and their defense is framed as legitimately strong down the stretch, which is the kind of detail that matters once the calendar flips and games get tighter. Ohio has had its moments too, 28 or more in 3 of the last 5, but the profile is different. Their passing game is tagged as a weak point, and that's a problem because it lets UNLV play bully ball on run fits. If you can cheat bodies toward the run without getting punished over the top, you're basically forcing an offense to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. The other big swing factor is the sideline. Ohio lost its coach a few weeks ago, and even when a roster stays mostly intact, that kind of change tends to show up in little cracks. Game management, 4th down decisions, weird tempo choices, communication stuff. And if you're already unsure about their defense, those cracks can turn into wide lanes. That's why the expectation here tilts toward UNLV having a big offensive day, not just they're good, but because the matchup and the stability both point the same direction. It's like showing up to a job site with the right tools while the other crew is still figuring out who's holding the blueprint. As our first pick for this matchup, the UNLV Rebels to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Ohio's baseline numbers paint them as solid, not flashy. They score 28.7 points per game, 61st nationally, and allow 22.9, which sits 51st. They average 416.3 total yards, split 187.6 passing and 228.8 rushing, and allow 358.0 total yards, with 147.9 rushing and 210.1 passing. So you're looking at a team that can move it on the ground, but isn't built to win with pure air volume. UNLV's profile is louder. They average 35.9 points per game, 15th in the nation, and that's backed by 459.1 yards per game, 256 passing, and 203.1 rushing. The defensive numbers are rougher, though: 28.8 points allowed per game, 94th, and 424.5 yards allowed, including 249.3 passing and 175.2 rushing. So the over-argument writes itself in a pretty human way. UNLV tends to play in higher scoring environments because they can score fast and they can also give some back. If UNLV hits its usual offensive stride and Ohio contributes with its run game and steady drive output, you don't need perfection, you just need enough sustained possessions and a couple shorter fields. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.